Hello, I'm Mike. In this video, I shall demonstrate the ways on how to use Power BI parameter features to change in data source location path and source type for the queried source tables in Power BI desktop file. In practice, sometimes we need to move Power BI source data from one environment to another one, even changing the source types, or share or hand over developers the Power BI desktop files with all queried source files together, etc. These source data in tables in Power BI have their embedded source static connection paths, and most of them might have been well transferred by designed data modeling with created new tables, columns, and measures for ready-made visualization in dashboard and reports. The changes of the data source connection path or source type might require a lot of manual checks and clicks on those set up in tables by table individually. For such a situation, we may utilize Power BI parameter features to minimize those manual efforts and enable the changes happen much more easy and quick. In my example of the Power BI desktop file, I have a table imported from the Excel file blood pressure log, which is stored on my OneDrive for business side. To the source file, I made some transform steps such as split it columns, define data type for numeric columns, create three measures as well. Finally, I made a few line chart visualizations, card visualizations, and table visualization in three report pages. For the demo, I also stored the same schema Excel source file and my one SharePoint communication site, local C drive, and the different subfolders, and same schema CSV source files and my OneDrive for business. In the Power BI file, I have created four parameters. One is holding source location path and source type info, which enables developer to find and switch the V to connect source data among different path type or from the different source type, such as a SharePoint site location type and Excel source type or CSV type, or from the local drive path and Excel source type, or from the different database, etc. The second and third parameters are holding the specific location path list on the SharePoint story type. For example, which enables developers to find and switch source files stored under the SharePoint from OneDrive root path and specific subfolder path to my SharePoint communication site root path and specific subfolder path. The fourth parameter is holding the path list of the local file drive. You may create more parameters to hold other different connection path lists, such as SQL database. For such a parameter setting, we can find the completed view from a dependence tree of all query from the view page on the transform data window. Here you may find that source table bg_log_sheet has its dependent queries from the two data source path types. And each data source path type also has the link to the bg_log_sheet source table. Let me do a demo on changing the source location path. In the pager daily blood pressure log table, the card visualization story site location path indicates that current connected source data comes from a specific folder of my OneDrive for business site. Now I want to change in the source data connected from the SharePoint communication site under a specific subfolder instead of the current connected site. First, let's ensure that home pager in top ribbon is chosen. Click the Transfer Data tab. In dialog list, choose the Edit Parameters. In pop-up window, in the drop-down box, Location Path Type and Source Type, ensure that SharePoint folder path and Excel is selected. Then in the drop-down box, SharePoint root path, choose Communication Site for mic demo. In the drop-down box for choosing SharePoint subfolder path, choose the specific subfolder under the SharePoint communication site root path, then click OK. Click the Apply Changes. We see the source story site location and path changed, and the visuals in each report page have no changes. Let's do another switch on source location path from the current SharePoint site to local drive. Click again the Transform Data tab. Choose Edit Parameters. In the drop-down box, Location Path type and Source type, choose the local folder path. Then in the drop-down box, Local folder path, choose the specific location path we want. Then press OK and apply the changes. We see the source story site location changing from the SharePoint site to the local C drive path. We may also change the source path inside of the C drive from the top folder to the subfolder. For example, to subfolder and backslash Power BI parameter YouTube. Let's do one more switch on data source type changing from Excel file to the CSV file stored under the subfolder of OneDrive site. Click the Transform Data tab, choose the Edit Parameters. In Open Window, to the drop-down box, Location Path type and source type, ensure that the SharePoint folder path and CSV is selected. Then in the drop-down box SharePoint root path, choose SharePoint OneDrive root link. In the drop-down box SharePoint subfolder path, select the specific subfolder under the SharePoint OneDrive root path. Then click OK. Click the Apply Changes. We see the values from the story CSV file appears in all visuals in each report page, and the CSV source story site location and path is indicated in the cut visualization as well. We see how easy and quick by using the parameter to change source data location path and source type with few clicks. In the rest part of this video, I shall share the steps on how to create the function features by Power BI parameters. In the example of the Power BI desktop file, by model view, we can see the file has only one source table, and it has a few created additional columns and measures. In top menu, if we click Transform Data and click the Advanced Editor, from the query code lines in Editor page, we see that source table comes from my OneDrive for Business site. Here we have the OneDrive SharePoint root URL link and the specific subfolder Documents URL link. Copy the both links and paste them into the notepad for later use. Now I want to change the data source connection point to my SharePoint communication site under the subfolder where I have the same schema Excel source file, blood pressure log. Before the changing, we need to create the two parameters and embed the parameters into the current source Power Query. First, copy the new SharePoint site root path URL from my SharePoint communication site, where I have the same schema Excel source file, and paste it to the notepad. Then in Power BI Desktop File Query Editor window, click the Manage Parameters button. In the pop-up page, on left top side, click the New button. In right dialog box, give the parameters name as the SharePoint root path. Text for type. List of values for suggest values. Copy and paste the previous copied two SharePoint root path URL links from the notepad to the first and second emptied box. Set my current connected OneDrive SharePoint root path for default and current value box. Press OK. Our first parameter is created for SharePoint root path URL. Again, repeat the step to create another new parameter for the SharePoint subfolder URL link. Name the parameter as a SharePoint subfolder path. Text for type. List of the value for suggested values. Paste the previous copied OneDrive SharePoint site subfolder URL link to the first emptied box. Set the pasted SharePoint link for default value box and current value box. Press OK. Our second parameter is created for SharePoint subfolder path URL. Now we need to insert these two parameters into the source query to replace the static URL links. Hover over the query bg_log_sheet. On top menu, choose the Advanced Editor. We have the query code lines by transform steps displayed. To the first step code line source, after the dot files, enter the open bracket. Replace list part by hashtag open double quotes. Then enter the SharePoint root path. Close double quotes and close bracket. To the second step query code line, replace the static URL link for the default path by entering the hashtag open double quotes SharePoint subfolder path, close double quotes. On the bottom, we didn't see any error warning. Press down, close and apply the query changing. And in the report page, we see same data in visualization and same site location path indicated because the embedded parameters brings the same source path link from OneDrive. Now we can switch source URL link from OneDrive to the SharePoint communication site by parameter. On top ribbon, ensure that Home tab is selected and choose Transform Data button. Then click Edit Parameters. In the SharePoint root path box, choose the SharePoint communication URL link, press OK, and apply the changing. The Power BI might request us to provide the credentials. Use your login account to sign in. Then in report page, we see embedded value in all visualization because the reason is that we did not tell yet the subfolder URL link of a communication site to the parameter SharePoint subfolder path. Click the Transform button again. Hover over the bg_log_sheet query. On the right side, the applied step list. Click the first step source. In the name column, click the target source file bg_log_sheet. Move the mouse to the right end of the table. Select the folder path info. Copy the subfolder URL link from the bottom of the table. Paste it to the notepad. Back to the top menu, click the Managing Parameters button. Choose the Managing Parameters. In dialog list, choose parameter SharePoint subfolder path, and in the Suggest Value box, paste the copied communication subfolder link to the second list. Set it for the current value, press OK. Close and apply the query changing. In report page, we see values come again in all visuals, and the site location path changing and indicated as a SharePoint communication site source path. By now, you may want to change in source connection back to the OneDrive from the SharePoint communication site again. This can be easily done by resetting the path link values while edit parameters. So far, we have the parameter enable us to switch source connection paths under the same path type. How about to changing source connection from one path type to another type? For example, switch to my local drive path from the current SharePoint path. For this changing, first we need to create two new parameters. First parameter is for holding source location path type and source type. Another parameter is for holding local drive path. Secondly, we need to build the transform query to get Excel file from a local drive. Lastly, we need to embed the new created parameters and the new transformed query into our existing source query. For creating parameters, same steps as before. Click Transform Data, Manage Parameters, New Parameter. Name the new parameter as a local path type and source type. Text for type. List of value for suggested values. For first empty list box, enter SharePoint and Excel. Enter the local drive and Excel for second empty list. Choose SharePoint and Excel as default value and current value. Press OK. For second parameter, name it as a local drive path, text for type, list of the value for suggested value. For first empty list box, copy and paste the local C drive folder path from the Explorer. Set default value and current value. In left side under query section, move up the parameter location path type and the source type to the position under the query bg_log_9 sheet. The two new created parameters are ready. Now we need to build the query to get source from a local drive. Under Home tab, click New Source arrow. In dialog list, choose More. In search box, enter Folder. On right side, select Folder and Connect. Then by browser, choose the folder. This PC /document/Power BI parameter YouTube. Press OK. OK again. Press Transform Data button. Filter the extension and path folder. Choose the Excel file. Blood pressure log. Keep column content and folder path. Expanded the content column. Choose the bg_9 sheet table. OK. On the right side step list, right-click the step Remove Other Column 1. Select Edit Setting. Tick in the fault path. Press OK. Then in the transformed table, we have a folder path column in. On the top ribbon, click Advanced Editor. Copy all step code lines between let and in. Close the page by press Cancel. Remove the new created query. Then click the bg_log_9 sheet query again. Click the Advanced Editor to re-edit the query by insert the query for getting source data from the local drive. In Editor window, find the changing type step, which is the steps to have the source table queried before any other transformations. Paste the copied step code lines after the changing type step. Adjust the first step source line space for us to identify the pasted new code lines. We need to modify some info of the inserted code lines. Add the comma to the last line of the pasted codes. Rename all new step labels to avoid the duplicated naming. Replace the static local drive path by local drive path parameter. Especially for the step field row 11, we must use the dynamic parameters to confirm the specific subfolder path. Lastly, insert a new code line in the end of the embedded query code lines as final source equal to if local path type and source type is local drive and Excel, then changing the type 10, else changing the type. In the step split column by delimiter, Replace the changing the type by final source. Close the advanced pager by press button down. Also, do not forget to add the local driver subfolder path info into the list of values of local drive path parameter. Now, the existing source query with embedded parameters that enables the source location switch between SharePoint location and the local drive location for Excel type is ready. Lastly, let's enhance the existing source query to be able to get CSV source data from the SharePoint side. Click New Source arrow. In dialog list, choose More. In search box, enter SharePoint folder. On right side, select SharePoint folder and connect. From Notepad, copy and paste OneDrive root path URL link into the site URL box. Press Transform Data button. In column name, choose and click the File Blood Pressure Log CSV. Move to the column folder path, and in the bottom, copy the subfolder path and paste to the Notepad. Use the folder path info to filter the all source files. Filter CSV source type file by extension column. Filter the target source CSV file by column name. Keep content column and fault path column and remove other columns. Expanded the content and click OK. On right side, right-click the step, remove other column 1, choose Edit Setting, tick in the fault path. Then we have the query ready to get original resource table from the CSV file. Click Advanced Editor, copy all code lines between net and in, close the Edit pager, and remove the new created query. Hover over the bg_log_sheet query, reopen Advanced Editor again. Before the step final source, paste the copied all M steps code lines, repeat same steps as before, added comma in the last line, rename each step labels. Modify the step line final resource by adding if local path type and the source type equal to SharePoint and Excel, then changing type, else changing type 20. Update static SharePoint root path by parameter SharePoint root path. Update static subfolder path by parameter SharePoint subfolder path. Press down button. By this phase, we need to enhance the embedded parameters with additional resource type info. On top ribbon, click Manage Parameters. Click Parameter, Location Path Type, and Source Type. In the list of value box, enter the SharePoint and CSV. Press OK. From Notepad, copy the previous pasted the subfolder path and paste it into the list of value box of the parameter SharePoint subfolder path. Now we have enhanced parameters, replace all static paths in the existing source query. Close and apply the modified source query. Let's have a quick test to switch source path and source type. Switch Excel source connection from OneDrive to C drive. Connect the Excel source to the CSV source stored on the OneDrive. That is all about in this video. Thanks for your watching and hope this may bring some helps to your future Power BI developments. If you like to watch more videos from my channel, please press subscribe button in below. See you in next video.